reason I said remodel, not rebuild, is a player like Matthew Stafford. Is, to me, in a rebuild, you would just bulldoze the house down and begin rebuilding from the ground up. But when you have someone like Matthew Stafford, players like Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Sean coming, there's some weight-bearing walls there that we still have, and we're going to rely on those. Don't want to put pressure on them, and at that point remodel around them with maybe different teammates, different partners.
That was general manager Les Snead of the Los Angeles Rams. That was an interview he gave to Good Morning Football back in March, prior to the NFL draft. Some careful words there chosen by the general manager, by Mr. Lee and Mr. Les, and we want to thank him for giving his opinion on the matter. So he doesn't want to call it as a rebuilding. It's more of a remodeling. I mean, of course, he still has a little bit of the pieces left from the Super Bowl year. He's going to need those Super Bowl pieces to at least make a playoff run this year. Now, before the break, we talked about the scheduling, the teams that they have to play. They're playing mostly every team that made the playoffs last year. So let's go ahead and discuss that right now. I'm going to tell you right now again, for those of you that are joining us late, they got a tough first half of the season. You're playing a few teams that made deep playoff runs last year. One team that made the Super Bowl, which was the Eagles. You're playing the Seahawks that swept you this last season. You're playing the 49ers has been your kryptonite in the regular season. And I know that they beat them in the title game a couple years ago, but they still have that kryptonite over you. They swept you for the fourth time since McVay took over. Actually, the third time. I take that back. The first 2 years of the McVay era was 4-0. Or 3-1, 3-2. Since that Super Bowl 53 run that ended in a disappointment, they went 0-4. In 2021, they went 0-6. They finally beat them in a title game, which mattered the most. But back to reality in 2022, 0-2 again. So they won 8 of the last 9 meetings against the Rams. So that's a big one right off the bat. You're going to be at home, so you'll have the home field advantage. Normally, when these two teams play, it's either at Frisco. They're playing the Bengals the next week. A team that went to the AFC Championship game last year. After that, week 5, they're playing the Eagles, one of the Super Bowl contenders. Week 14, they got the Cowboys, a team that made the divisional round. Ravens in week 17 that made the playoffs. They got a stellar defense. And near the end of the year, they play the Giants. So it's looking pretty tough here. Can the Rams win? They did get 11 picks in the draft, which is a good thing. Sports insiders have already said that the Rams and Seahawks are going to make a leap in this division next season. So it's going to be really tough. Also, they have two primetime games. They have week 3 in Cincinnati, which is a Monday night game. And then near the end of the season, near Christmas, they have the Saints on a Thursday night game. So it's gonna be tough, but one of the good things is that the Rams are not gonna have Jimmy Garoppolo, so that's a really good thing. Because we all remember what he's done here so far since he took over. And again, this guy was the savior of the season for the 49ers, and yet they sent him away, which I don't know if that was really respectful or not. To me, that was a disrespect. But I seen videos of Stafford working out. Aaron Donald's ready. He wants to hit it up. Stafford gave an interview about a month ago about how he was feeling on things. Let's see what he had to say.
A typical phase 1 schedule, but exciting to be back in the building and seeing everybody.
What did Sean say you guys want to be about this year?
I'll kind of keep that between us, but I mean it's the same kind of things that you want to use this time, phase 1 specifically, to kind of just build your team, what you want to be about as individuals, how you want to work, how you want to come together collectively. Obviously, we know we're going to have a bunch of new teammates, come the draft and all that kind of stuff as well. So being able to kind of ingratiate those guys, bring those guys in as quickly as we possibly can. But at this time of the year, it's, very physical. All right, what are we doing out there on the field? What are we doing in the weight room? All that kind of stuff to kind of get yourself ready to go. And at the same time, learning the basics of what we're going to be on offense, what we're going to be on defense, special teams, all those kind of things. I mean, this is day 1 stuff, and just trying to enjoy that process and understand that, it's about building that foundation. Starts today, and we go from there.
Well, I'll say this. He seems to be in a good mood. He seems to be in high spirits than he's been in the last couple months. Again, this was the guy that missed 8 weeks of the 2022 season with a neck injury. I seen his expressions on the sideline when the Rams went through that bad losing streak, and how happy he was when they signed Baker Mayfield 2 days after being claimed off waivers. It was just, I couldn't believe it. And what's on my mind is that Thursday night game where he just he wasn't supposed to play that night. He was, he barely learned the system. It was just his second day in the organization. And I never seen anything like that before, How is it that you bring a guy in, claiming off waivers, in 48 hours he's in there and he wins the game for you? That is a Sean McVay success. I mean, it's impossible to bring in a guy 2 days after you claim him off waivers and he wins you a game.
10, Mayfield to the end zone to Jefferson. Is that possible? Touchdown. This is impossible.
This is impossible. Again, I agree. You bring him in on Tuesday. Thursday, you suit up. Again, the quarterback that night was John Woodford. He was the backup that won the game in 2020 that got the Rams in the playoffs. But here's the thing. He didn't play well, and he was hurt. That roster was so beat up that even the C-level guys were the ones in there playing. Now, we go to the Kansas City game last season. That was a hyped-up matchup, but because of the injuries, it turned to a one-sided ass-kicking. But the ass-kicking wasn't that bad. They only lost by 16. Had they had Baker Mayfield there, I'm pretty sure could have been a close game, could have won it. But I'm telling you this, folks, is that the Sean McVay experiment works. Again, Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield. Do I need to say more? I think the Rams will be fine. Now, as far as being like the undefeated, the top dog in the NFC, I don't know about that. There's other teams out there with high talents. Again, I can't count out the Eagles. I can't count out the Cowboys. I can't count out the Saints with Derek Carr. I cannot count out the Seahawks. The 49ers are a question mark. Arizona's pretty much of a rebuilding session. I don't know what's going to happen there. But watch out for the Rams and the Seahawks. Now, can they fill in those spots that those good players they had? That's still yet to be determined. They can still make moves, but the question is, do they have the money and the space to? You know, everyone's willing to win a Super Bowl at whatever price comes. They paid for it. Now it's just more of a, let's go from here, try to win something else. Remember, the Rams were a laughingstock for 15 years. You know, Steve Spagnuolo gave them hope in St. Louis. Jeff Fisher was only able to get to 7 wins. Sean McVay came, and he just kept this team going. This is the first losing season under him. We know what happened. We know he's missed a playoff twice, but you can understand that this team never gave up. This team never quit on him. You know, you look at the losses. You know, the Seahawks was a blowout. The 49ers won. But this team still played. They played their butts off. They didn't give up. They didn't let the circumstances get to them. This team played their asses off. And yes, they have a tough schedule coming up. And it's only May. We will see what happens. I'm hoping for the best. So now for that, we're going to wrap it up here with the Rams. When we come back here on Sports Talk, we're going to talk about the Chargers. Another McVay coach that left to this team. It looked like he was trying to mimic the McVay offense in Los Angeles, but this wasn't meant to be. Coming up later, we'll also break down, everyone's been asking about this, Aaron Rodgers, what do I think? Will it be a deja vu of 2008? Can he turn the Jets around? We're also going to break down the primetime key games. And then at the end of the show, we'll give you my projections for the division winners. More on that coming up here on Sports Talk.